My family, how are we? Welcome to another episode of Off the Top. You might notice something special today. I'm drinking Health Aid kombucha. One of my favorite kombuchas I've ever tasted. The Pink Lady Apple. Woo! Big time. Also on my head, I have a bucket hat. Yesterday was a very important day. It was the birthday of artist Emily Croteau. This piece behind me was made by her, and this hat on top of my head was made by, or designed by her from Aime Leon Dore, a gift back in the day. So in honor of Emily and her contributions to the pod and also just her overall brilliance of a human, today we start with a shout out and a special birthday wish to Emily. Let's get into it. Today we're feeling good, guys. It's been a great week. I got back in New York on Friday after a trip to LA and then a trip to Toronto. So we had back-to-back greatness. But it's good to be back in the city. It's the energy is alive, and we've got a few weeks here to really dig in before back on the road. Learnings from this week. This was a great one. So I saw something recently, a book by Jim Murphy called Inner Excellence was read by a famous wide receiver for the Eagles, A.J. Brown, during a playoff game. In the middle of the game on the sidelines, A.J. was just reading this guy's book, and it was basically on like mental toughness for athletes. It talks about where joy comes from, and to see an athlete at that level tapping into his own education and being open and vulnerable with that education in something like the NFL playoffs, such a beautiful, beautiful gift. Some quick touch points from the book that I found to resonate. When you are self-obsessed, that is when you become miserable. The idea is to serve in secret, and joy truly comes from love. And when you can focus on other people, pouring into others, that's when you experience the most amount of joy possible. It's also brings up in my head this other phenomenon where if you feel stuck, the best thing you can do is help unstuck someone else, solve a problem for them. And maybe it's a similar issue, maybe it's not. But a lot of times when you pour your energy out and help other people, that can help unlock you in a way that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise tapped into. That's learning number one from the week. We'll keep it there. There's some learning scattered throughout this week. But challenge number one from this week has been short form content. I feel like I'm showing up every week on a long form basis. We've got hour and a half episode every Tuesday dropping. And then we've got Off the Tops. I have not figured out how to repurpose these long form episodes to drive top of funnel content, which would ultimately lead people back to the long form. Something that came up for me this week comes from a good friend, Kai. She pointed this out, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I did this thought exercise where if you ask yourself, name 2 reels that you saw yesterday, could you fairly quickly come up with those? If I said, name 2 memorable reels from the last week, could you come up with them? What about from the last month? The idea is reels and short form content a lot of the time are just cheap in nature. If I were to ask you the same question, like, give me an example of a song that resonated yesterday, or a song that resonated and allowed you to experience a different kind of emotion the last week, or a movie, or a TV show, a podcast, a book. Like, those to me are like tangible pieces of art. And I've really struggled with how short form can then funnel into more meaningful content while trying to build this platform. And I haven't cracked the code yet. I have not figured out what that looks like for myself. And it can be a little frustrating because I'm putting so much time into developing this. But it is something I know will just happen with time. Part of that process is just iteration, unfortunately, and putting yourself out there. I get that, but I don't want it to be gimmicky. And so I'm doing everything I can to not make it gimmicky and to have substantial value embedded within this platform, so that you can walk away with learnings. But yeah, that's something that I've struggled with. So going to be trying some stuff over the next couple months. We'll see how that ends up. That was first notable challenge from the week. Something else that came up on the challenge front, I have this consistent feeling of, when will I arrive at a place of peace? When will enough be enough? And as I look forward, like I've told myself and given myself permission to put my head down and be in like grind mode or work mode until I'm in a place that is outside this chapter, quote unquote chapter. But I don't necessarily know when I will ever be out of this chapter. Like I haven't necessarily defined those bounds. I just know I want more sustainability, and I don't know what making it looks like. And so a slight concern that I have is you will never make it, and it will never be enough. And I think something that continues to come up, especially since my niece was born, was like, I want to have stability when I have a family so that I can pour into kids. And I think that's something that I'm right now struggling with, of like, will I be in that position? Or will I always be chasing something? Is this need that I have inside of me to prove something to myself that I'm worthy, will that always be there? Or will I be able to get to a point professionally where I feel like I've done the right thing and I've arrived in a place that I'm satisfied with? So anyway, it's something that's in the back of my mind. Obviously, like this chapter is just chaotic inherently, but yeah, I don't want it to be like that forever. I want stability, and to be able to coach my kids' soccer games, or whatever however I can contribute to their lives. If it's not sports, whatever that looks like. If it's theater, hell yeah, we're gonna bang out some great scenes in theater. But yeah, it's something I'm thinking about. I don't have the answer, but I think a solution that I've thought about is just having the right people around you to help you celebrate the wins, calibrate towards goals, and recognize that progress is being made, and that a lot of this just comes down to appreciation. We'll get to appreciation in a second. Actually, we're at appreciation right now. So win for the week. On the other side of that is a quote from our boy Naval. I think it was a tweet, actually. He said something along the lines of, if you can't be happy with a coffee, you won't be happy with a yacht. And there's so much truth to that. This week, I was in Toronto pouring into a relationship for work. We had been going back and forth for months about a contract, and I finally got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I think I need to fly to Toronto and make this happen. And so work for those couple days looked like just investing in the relationship to get to know each other. And I think when I've traveled in the past and been with other people in a friendly way or even a professional way, there's always been this like mega stimulation, be it activities, really good restaurants, shit like that. And here it was like just a lot of quality time spent with things like meditation, breath work, exercising, and having conversations about like where we're at. And that was beautiful. To me, it relates really well to this Navalism where he says, if you can't be happy with the coffee, you won't be happy with the yacht. And I think that goes with traveling too, or spending time with your friends. It's like, if you cannot be happy in a hotel room, just kicking it and having conversation with your people, then you won't be happy on a yacht, or you won't be happy in European summer. So that was a win. I was proud of the way that we all showed up, and it was a good reminder of like, when you have quality people around you, it's such a blessing to work with people that you're inspired by. So win number 1, eyes on this week. So this is a long time coming, but I've worked with this designer now for a few months. His name is Jude. I started working with him for the first time on the 4LA fundraiser. He plugged in and just absolutely crushed it. Took like a very simple concept, 4LA, sincerely New York City, and just like made it so beautiful. And since then, he ran with that at the table concept as well. We've gotten phenomenal feedback on the logo and just the overall aesthetic of the brand. And 99% of that was Jude. And yeah, he's been an incredible friend, but to me, he has that French taste that is just, it goes above and beyond. So a major shout out to Jude and his contributions. He just landed a new job too that he's really excited about, but by far one of the best freelancers I've ever worked with, and somebody that hopefully we'll be working with for a long time. So shout out to Jude. I'm going to drop his page or website in the description. You can check him out. Extra credit. This was a good one. I had to drop in with a buddy, Carson, today. And we were talking a little bit about setting up the podcast studio. He's an excellent producer and has a studio in his basement, ironically. But I was telling him about how I needed to buy another camera. I got to get some lights and really want to invest in the space. And he said something that had me pause and like kind of rethink this whole thing. He said, don't create tension where there doesn't need to be. Release the tension when you can, because 99% of the time it's not serving you. Focus on the calm. And this was a great piece of advice. What also comes up for me is that Tim Ferriss question that he always asks himself: what would this look like if it were easy? Or separately, what would this look like if it were fun? And I've realized sometimes I can create tension in my mind as a form of resistance. If I really need to do something, I'll add a layer of complexity that doesn't necessarily need to be there. Like, for instance, with this podcast studio, we have a camera, we have a light. I'll buy one more camera, one more light, give myself 2 plants, and that's it. That's for the next like 3 months. That's good, right? That's going to get the ball pushed forward. We can reassess after that. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, it needs to be like, we got to design a dining table with a local creative and get 2 new chairs that are, beautifully positioned against the art. And it's like, that just adds so much complexity. It's like, that will come. You will earn the right to that. But right now, what you need to focus on is just the quality of the conversation. I had a conversation with a friend, founded a clothing business. He's done super well. They've run similar ads with iPhone content and high-end production level equipment, and ads like 8 out of 10 times the exact same ad would perform better with iPhone on Instagram versus production grade content. And I think that's just people wanting to step into this place of authenticity. And there's something about that look. Now, I don't know that I want to go that far. Like, I think given the guests that we're having on, I want to do right by them with having like high grade production quality content. It also gives it like this cinematic feel. But I think there's less of a focus on just like going to the nth degree on production and more so just like focus on the quality of what you're saying or what you're providing to your audience. So that's been something I've been thinking more about. Shout out Carson for that point of advice. Focus on the calm. Ask yourself, what would this look like if it were fun? Or what would this look like if it were easy? 2 more quick extra credits. Number 2, LANDO. If you've been following along the journey, you know LANDO has been on his music ride for a few years. And Rain, his recent single, just got thrown on release radar. So Spotify's now bumping it. He just passed 50,000. It's been out for like a week. So flowers to him. He has been in the freaking lab just cooking shit up the last few years. So proud of him, and time is finally catching up. So shout out LANDO. And last but not least, this off the top puts us at 20 episodes, which was a big goal for this experiment. Going into at the table, my goal was to have 10 guests, 20 episodes total, and then reassess where we were going to potentially take this. The reason we picked 20 is because 99% of podcasts don't get to 20. And so maybe it was part ego, maybe part wanting to truly feel what this felt like. But we got to 20, and to be honest, like, it's been a lot. There's been a lot of ups and downs through this journey. But I've honestly learned a lot from these guests and felt myself getting more comfortable on camera, and know that this thing is just like outlasting. If we did this for years, I have little doubt that it would, be quote unquote successful in some sort of way. I don't know what that would look like. But to me, it's been so much fun to have a platform to bring people that I respect on to hear their thoughts on their journey, and hopefully to provide content that resonates with people in a unique way. Like, the way that I truly want this to resonate is you walk away from these conversations a little bit more inspired, or hopefully seen in a way that maybe you wouldn't otherwise feel seen. My goal is to be vulnerable and to let you know that, yeah, you're not alone in your journey. But I'm celebrating 20 episodes, and TBD on where we end up with this whole thing. So that's all for today. Hell of a Sunday here in New York City. I am glad to be here. Thank you for your time. Shout out Emily. Happy birthday. We'll see you on the flip side.